Hello and welcome to another live webinar and to another episode from the Underdogs podcast, episode 23. Today I will talk about my first dog, Diesel, and how I came to animal communication. Um, it is a little ghost story, and yes, I will start with the story of my first dog Diesel, who I found in August 2008. I traveled through Romania with friends. At a petrol station, we found a dog and her puppies. She had four little puppies, and when we passed by the second time, the puppies had been completely bathed in diesel. The man at the petrol station had bathed the puppies in a bucket of diesel to get rid of the parasites. And the puppies and their mother tried to clean themselves of the stuff. They had it in their nose, ears, eyes, swallowed it. And some of our group collected the puppies to wash them under the tap. This caused an uproar because the fuel was not allowed to enter the sewage system. The petrol station was subsidized by the EU. And yes, after some heated discussions, we decided to just take the puppies with us. So we had a dog with us and were equipped with the essentials to take good care for the puppies. Then back in Germany, the puppies were taken by a vet who cared for them and let them grow up in a company of her dogs for a few more weeks. So it cannot be said that the puppies were badly socialized by being separated from their mother. And after a few weeks, I picked up my dog, Diesel. He was the only male dog with three sisters, and I wanted to keep him. Diesel lived with me in Düsseldorf. He came to the office with me, and as the only dog there, he had a lot of friends. He only didn't like other dogs. He didn't like his sisters and the vet's dogs too. He didn't play with them and wanted to be left alone. Instead, he tried to climb up some stairs and was quite frustrated that he couldn't do it because he was too small at this point. It didn't get any better in Düsseldorf either. He wanted to be left alone. He didn't think much of other people, only the people around him he knew. And I had various trainers because I thought the dog needed to be socialized. But the dog was socialized just in his own way. So after about a year, I moved to France. And I took care of my sick mother for 4 years. We hardly had any stressful encounters here. We went on endless hikes through the wilderness and we were happy with ourselves. And I don't even remember when it started. Either it was during the endless hospital stays of my mother or after her death. I only know that it was a time when Diesel and I were alone in the house. Okay, I had cats. At least we were alone in this big old house at the edge of the forest, far away from civilization. And as soon as it got dark and we went to bed, Diesel became restless. I had since undertaken many trips with Diesel. We lived together in our Land Rover, slept there next to each other in the car or in a tent. My dog trainer explained the world of dogs to me at the beginning. When Diesel came, the dog has to sleep separately. It is not allowed on the bed or sofa or lying in the way because this is all dominance behavior. So in Düsseldorf, I had a one-room apartment, and even then I thought the idea that the dog had to sleep alone was completely absurd. It didn't make sense to me. Um, Dogs are social beings. Diesel was great in training. He stayed home alone and also alone in the office when I had to leave. He never cried, barked, or destroyed anything. He just waited. And so why should I keep him away from me? Diesel could stay alone, but usually we were together. After all, our travels and adventures, where we lived, slept, and ate together, it was also kind of idiotic for us to bring out the dominant thing at home again. Now, Diesel was getting nervous in the night. As soon as the light was out, he came to me in bed, sat on me, and started panting. It was only possible to sleep if I left the light on, and he could sleep in bed with me, snuggled up against me. He had been with me for 4 or 5 years at this time, and I didn't understand it and watched it for a while. Then I took him to the vet because I thought maybe it's a health thing. The vet told me that the dog was stupid and dominant and that I should let him sleep alone outside at night. Outside. Of course. My dog has a problem, seeks help from me, and instead of looking for the cause and helping him, I punish him by locking him out. Makes sense. So humans are sometimes really wired. I didn't lock him out, even though the nights became increasingly exhausting. And I didn't understand it. He was physically healthy. We had no problem until we were in the room at night and the light went out. We had been in the mountains, in the east, in the Carpathians, in the Pyrenees, alone in tents in the wilderness. We traveled through the Baltic states up to Tallinn and back for weeks. We slept on the beach, in the forest, in disused barracks, and then there was never a problem or a trace of fear. At some point, I told a friend about it, and she told me about her sister who's learning animal communication. And I thought, aha. Since I was pretty much at the end by then, I thought to myself, okay, it can't hurt. The result was we had a ghost. And this ghost was now haunting my dog. I'm open to everything by nature. I form an opinion later, but first I take a look. And we had bought and renovated this house at this time 20 years ago. I'm here now 40 years, I think. My mother and I lived here with our cats and Diesel, and now suddenly we had a ghost. The house is really old. Some barns are from the Middle Age. Most of the house is from the 17th century, from the time of Louis XIV. I would be really surprised if there were no ghosts here. But I never had a problem with ghosts in my life. I assume the energies are at work in such old places, whether they are ghosts or whatever. But why a ghost came to haunt Diesel at this time was unclear to me. The sister with whom I was communicating with animals explained to me that I had to find someone to release the ghost. Today it's a piece of cake. More than 10 years ago, around 2012, it was a bit different. First of all, I found someone to do the first degree initiation into Reiki for me. This allowed me to clean and balance the energies of the house a little. Since I knew and trusted acupuncture, this seemed possible for me. In any case, this guy, the Reiki guy, explained to me that in my house, where the ghost was, I had been once before as a young woman and had been murdered, and that I could now dissolve the whole thing. Everyone deals with such information differently. I honestly don't remember what I thought at that time. I think I was scared and thought it was all very strange. But in the end, I found someone who could help me with a ghost. We made an appointment and I left everything else to him. He called me later and told me a story. There was a woman from the family next door who was killed in an argument with the family of this house. And there was also a dog involved. And because the poor soul was stuck here, she now pursued Diesel in her need to finally find a way into the light. The man explained to me that he had released her into the light and the haunting was over now. Well, if that's what he said. And what was really spooky and wired now was that since that day, there was peace. We went to bed, Diesel lay down in his basket, I turned off the light, and we slept soundly all night. No stress. He didn't come into my bed. It was all fine. Maybe there are explanations. For example, from my stress due to the circumstances with my mother. Or there is a placebo effect from the resolution of the spiritual healer. But I'm not really sure if that's really enough to explain the whole thing. I imagine that on the nights I lay awake with Diesel, I saw some mist on the floor. But that could also have been my exhaustion. The sister with the animal communication spoke again with Diesel, and this confirmed that now everything was past. He was safe again. At that time, I made my first animal communication course, and since that time, I continued to educate myself further, and I deal with energies and places and the fine perception of our animals. I'm rather a very rational person with a love of science. I like it when things can be proven or sustained. But I suspect that there is a lot more out there than we know today, and that's why we should keep an open mind to spirits and their stories. We know things are, we have proven things today that years ago we saw totally different. So science is great. I really love science, but we never know if this is the final, um, the final point we know, or if there's more. We develop, our world develops. And we are shaped by what we can see and understand. But maybe we only see and understand a fraction of what is possible. Because otherwise our brain would implode, maybe. And maybe our animals see and understand other things. I heard a lot from cats and dogs and also horses that had contact to ghosts. And maybe our animals see and understand them in a way we cannot, because their senses are different or they are more natural. They orient themselves by solar storms, energy fields, and magnetic grids, birds, whales. And for things like this, we would need a tool again. And they just, I don't know, they know it or they feel it. So we should keep open for things that we cannot see or explain. And I hope that you enjoyed this little story. There are more stories about Diesel and the other dogs that lived with me the last years in my new book, My Dog from an Animal Shelter Abroad. I will put the link in the description of this episode. And yes, there will be no webinar next week because this weekend I'm going to a trade fair. And on 17th March, we will be looking at natural leadership and the myth of dominance and alpha animals. I hope you enjoyed this episode and that it was a bit interesting for you. And I wish you and your animal a wonderful time and hope to welcome you again, whether you watch the replay or listen to the podcast. Bye.